Beautiful. Where's my coffee? Alright, are you ready, Amy Foxx?
Ready.
IFBB Pro.
So I can tell you, I don't expect you to remember.
Okay, you ready? You good?
Hang on, I might just move my chair forward so I don't bump it.
Okay.
And it doesn't make a noise.
I do love those trainers.
Thank you. Me too.
They're so cool.
Yeah, I reckon they are too. They're like cheap.
I love them.
Gotta love cheap stuff.
Oh, I'm all about the $80 trainers. So a pair of trainers the other day, they were $280. I'm like, what? I would never do that.
No. You wear them for 6 months anyway and then you pair, so in our industry.
Yeah. I've got so many trainers.
Me too. I've actually started chucking them out. Like as soon as I buy a new pair, I chuck another one out. Otherwise I end up, loaded in the room, and it's just too many shoes, so I have to just get rid of. Well, I don't throw them out. I actually put them in there.
Charity bin.
Yeah.
Give them back.
Mm.
Okay. I love the background music. This is going to be great. So the other day I was doing a podcast. Everything was deadly quiet, and then Digface here came to come in and cranked Guns N' Roses for the last 10 minutes, and she's looking at me. I'm like, keep talking.
What do you do?
Yeah. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And welcome back to another episode of the Chronicles of Fitness. I am your host, Coach Kat, and today I have with me in the studio a good friend of mine and someone who I admire in the fitness industry, Amy Foxx.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. So Amy Foxx is a IFBB Pro League judge.
Yes.
And a pro?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, it means whatever you want it to mean.
Right, okay.
So basically it's a professional in your sport,
Right.
and I call it a sport because I think bodybuilding is a sport. I know people say it's not, but I think it is. So
I think it is,
I'm going to call it a sport.
Yeah.
But I won my professional card in the women's physique division in 2014, and that was in Melbourne. So it means that I can compete internationally, and funnily enough, I won my pro card and I never actually competed as a professional.
Really?
Yeah, so I still haven't. It's still yet to be done.
Are you going to do it?
Never say never, but I actually didn't, like, my passion for competing wasn't to win a pro card, so to speak. It was just, that was the next step in my progression of competing, that it was a show that was a pro qualifier that I happened to do, and I really wanted to win it, and that was the result of winning that show.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's take it back because we kind of jumped in there. IFBB is a federation for bodybuilding competitions.
Yes.
What does IFBB stand for?
So IFBB, there's actually two different types of IFBB. So there's an IFBB Pro League, which is the one that I'm associated with, and if you think of it this way, IFBB Pro League is the one that's associated with the Olympia. So when you see Kai Green, Phil Heath,
all the legends.
All the legends, they are in the Olympia. And so the IFBB Pro League Amateur is that step down from the Olympia.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense. And then we've got the Elite, which is IFBB Elite, and they're probably more predominant in Europe.
Okay.
So you've got the Olympia, America, Pro League, Elite, IFBB is more Europe.
Right.
Yeah, so it does get very confusing.
I'm confused.
Basically, in Australia, I was actually counting them up, and there's 14 different federations that are active here in Australia that I've counted.
No way.
And then I was counting the categories associated with all of these different federations, and I counted over 115. So, and increasing. So there seems to be a new federation popping up left, right and centre. Not that that's a bad thing, but they all have their similarities. Obviously they all fall under the banner or the umbrella of bodybuilding, but they all specialise in a slightly different thing. So if you're wanting to hop on the Olympia stage one day, then IFBB Pro League is what you have to aim for, and that's what you stick with. If you are into like the natural Olympia type variations, then something like ICN or INBA. But getting back to your question, IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilding. That's what it stands for.
Yeah. Is that like the original?
No, actually NABBA was the original.
Yeah, I've heard of NABBA.
Yeah, so NABBA, it's like that's what you call like the ancient federation of bodybuilding almost. So that's where all the greats actually came from before they hopped over to IFBB Olympia. So your Arnie's and all of these guys were actually NABBA pros to begin with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I actually started with a federation called WFF, which was a step down from NABBA, and those two federations were combined. And I actually started in NABBA before I came over to IFBB. But in terms of what federation you should do, it really depends on what your goals are.
Yeah, okay.
It really does. So, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah, okay. And by categories, what do you mean by that?
So categories are like, for example, in the IFBB Pro League, there's 5 different categories that a woman can choose between.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the bikini division,
Mm-hmm.
which is sort of like a softer look. Then you've got the figure, slightly more muscular. Then you've got the women's physique, which is the category that I won my pro card. And the women's physique division is a step down from women's bodybuilding, which isn't as popular right now. They've actually taken it out of the main arena for the Olympia weekend, so it's actually on a different day, unfortunately. And we can talk about that too. I find that a little bit sad.
Why?
Well, there's a lot of different reasons, and this is just my own personal opinion. I just find that at this point in time with social media the way that it is, I find that the women's bodybuilding category is really hard to promote and market to the masses.
Yeah.
They don't want to see it. But, you know, that's actually quite disappointing in my mind, because who's to say a woman can't choose what she wants to look like? If she wants to look like that, then
100%.
bloody well let her.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But yeah, so there's the 4, and then finally you've got the fitness category for the women, which is the acrobatics, the gymnastics, the strength, the agility, the flexibility, that kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah. So there's 5 you can choose between, and every federation will have a number of different categories for women, and they all kind of like similar looking with very slight differences.
Okay. And so is it on body fat percentage?
Well, they will give you, like when you're prepping for a show and a particular category, they might give you a certain range. So they might say, okay, the women's figure might need to be around 8 to 10%, for example, whereas women's bodybuilding, you need to be around 5 or 6, whatever it is. But even you and I know as trainers, like a woman can walk through the door and she can be 15% body fat and look like a quite soft 15%, and another lady can come in at 15% and look shredded. So it's kind of irrelevant, it's more of the look. So they will give you a guide so you've got some baseline of, you know, how to go about your prep, but really it's not judged on how much you weigh and you know, what your body fat percentage is. It's based on how you look, so it's purely visual on the day.
And so let's talk about what you're judged on. So you are a judge, you sit on the judging panel and you judge the shows. What is it that you look for in a performance from a bodybuilder?
So if it's a bodybuilder, and like I said, there's really no female bodybuilding category here in Australia. So for the men's bodybuilding category, you're looking for shape, symmetry, balance, like the structure and the flow. So are their shoulders nice and broad, and have they got a nice small waist, and then does it sort of kick out to nice quad sweep? So it's sort of like an X shape, if you think of an X.
Yep.
So you want the shoulders at the top of the X, the waist to be the narrow part of the X, and then the legs sort of coming out at the bottom.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're looking at something like the women's figure category, for example, I like to think of it more as like a Y shape. So nice long legs, not necessarily big, muscly quads, but just a nice flow, but then the broadness of the shoulders at the top as well. So you kind of look for similar things, but with a different body fat as well. So the length of the limbs can make the proportions look so different too. So if you're naturally like a shorter girl, you might be more inclined to pick a division that encompasses more muscle mass, because you can genetically appear more muscular because you're short-limbed without as much effort. Not so much as much effort, but you're not fighting your genetics.
Yeah.
So you do it more comfortably, more easily, you're perhaps more enjoyable, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're judging, it's almost like you cut the body in quarters when you're looking at someone. So you look at the top versus the bottom. So does the top of the body kind of balance the bottom? You know how generally like women will tend to hold weight more so in their lower body, so you think of it like a pear shape.
Yep.
So with the sport of bodybuilding, you're trying to balance that out. So if you think of a Y, which is the ideal figure look for the IFBB, that's like an upside down pear. So that's going to take a little while for the female to bring up their upper body mass to balance out their lower body. So that, that takes time. It takes a lot of skill with your training, making sure that you're not dominating with your legs, which is quite easy to do. Not that you don't train body parts, but you have to focus on bringing up areas of weakness, which is upper body with females.
Unless you do CrossFit.
Unless you do CrossFit, yeah. And the thing is, like, funnily you say that. You know how I was saying about the Y shape?
Yeah.
I've found that I've had a lot of girls come from CrossFit and it's really difficult for them to get that broad look. Like they've all got, they've got a particular type of body that I kind of like, I would almost say it's similar to like fighters or boxers.
Okay.
Very core dominant.
Yeah.
Great shoulders, but no V taper. No V taper.
Yeah.
And I put that down, and this is just my own observation, I put that down to your body's ability to go into protection mode with the type of sport that you're doing. So if you've got a huge V taper in something like CrossFit or boxing or like a fighting based sport, your joints are at a really serious risk of injury, like shoulders in particular, because they're unstable. So your body will naturally develop muscle and sort of pull everything in to keep the joints safe. And you don't do that when you're on stage. Like you actually move your joints or your scapula, so to speak, to sort of flare out the lats. So it's almost like that humerus is sort of sitting on the very outskirts of the socket, which is unstable. Yeah, but that's where you get the most stretch and the most V taper, to have that mobility to do that. But if you were to do that when you're doing your big lifts with CrossFit, I guarantee you'll hurt yourself. So that's why there's nothing wrong with the CrossFit style training, but it doesn't necessarily translate into a good bodybuilding physique.
No.
It's a fantastic physique, same with boxing, but you just won't have that same shape. Yeah, because your body's trying to protect itself.
Yeah, because you're so thick around the middle from all the core muscles that you've built up from doing so much high intensity,
fast. Explosive lifting. So it's interesting. So normally girls that come from CrossFit have a really good base, and they're quite technical with their lifts as well, so they're easy to teach. And as you know, like if you want to be a good CrossFit athlete as well, like your mobility and your stretching and all of that sort of recovery stuff is really important. So if they've got a handle on that, they can easily, give it 12 months, and they could be quite a competitive figure competitor or bikini competitor or women's physique competitor. They just have to adjust their training slightly so that they can actually start flaring their body and flaring their lats out.
I've always wondered if a CrossFitter has competed in a bodybuilding comp and like how they would go because it's just such a different.
They get marked really, really well on their conditioning because they have fantastic conditioning, and also their muscularity, fantastic muscularity. It's their shape and balance and symmetry that knocks them out with those competitors, because they don't have that Y shape or because they don't have that X shape. They're more straight up and down.
Yeah, like a pole.
Yes, and it just takes a change in training to adapt to the bodybuilding style. But if you were to do more so the bodybuilding style and then try and translate that into CrossFit, then you'll fall down as well because the lifts are different.
Yes.
It's just a different way of training.
Yeah. So let's talk about the training to prepare you for a comp. It will take how many months? Like if you had somebody come to you and say, I want to compete in this year, what would be a realistic timeline for them to get on stage and be ready as an amateur?
Yes, I break all amateurs down into beginner, intermediate, advanced, because you could have someone that's never stepped on stage before, but like yourself, how long have you been training for?
Forever.
Yeah, forever. So like you could have been training and quite intensely by yourself for the last 10 years, but never competed. So you've got a really great base, And there's only sort of slight tweaks and things that you would actually need to be really competitive on stage. And maybe you're a genetic freak as well on top of that. So maybe you only need 12 weeks of prep, like 3 months to get into shape, and to hone in on a couple of things that need to be looked at in terms of your symmetry and balance, and there you go, you're a competitive competitor after 3 months. Someone else might come in and again, they're an amateur competitor, never competed before, and they've actually never been in the gym before. So that's a different story. So I wouldn't, not that I wouldn't recommend it, I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. It all depends on the person's mindset, whether or not they're healthy in the head, I like to say, before they decide to embark on a prep. So if everything's going well in your life, like you're not really stressed out, work's going well, finances are all in order, you've got a supportive family and partner, you know, you may or may not have kids, doesn't matter, as long as everything is going smoothly with them, well then, yeah, there's no reason why you can't hop on stage after 3 months as well, even if you're a beginner.
But all those factors play a massive part in your prep.
Massive part,
yeah,
huge.
So it's not just training and eating well, it's all those other factors.
Yeah, it's your sleep, it's your ability to believe in yourself as well. Like some people have a really good sense of self and other people don't. So it's really individual, but basically there is no reason why a beginner can't hop on stage after 3 months, provided everything else is healthy, like healthy headspace. Healthy body, healthy headspace as the base. That's not to say that they're going to be a world beater after 3 months. They might be a very good competitor in the novice category or first timer category for a natural federation. So the looks are different.
How many shows does it take to become a pro? Is there not a set amount, but in your experience, how many shows does it take for somebody to make it in the sport?
Well, I've seen the extremes of both. So I'll start from like the Olympia, because in my mind the Olympia is the top of the top kind of thing. So I'll start with that. But pretty much every female athlete that I've seen on stage that's won Miss Olympia, she's been training and competing as a good amateur for about 10 years.
Wow.
So that just kind of puts things into perspective. So everyone looks at these girls on stage and thinks, wow, like she looks fantastic. And I say, well, have a look at her 10 years ago. She actually looks worse than you. So the way that you've got to appreciate the time and the discipline and the commitment that goes into actually looking like that. And on the flip side, I've seen people hop up on stage for their first show and win a pro card. That's not with the IFBB, but that's with other federations. Again, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Would you be pissed? Oh, you'd be so bad if you were on the stage with him.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I do believe as well, like with anything else, like, if you're good enough, why can't you win your pro card? If you're good enough.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 10 years or 2 months. If you're good enough and you're a genetic freak, well, fine, give you a pro card, who cares? But that's the exception to the rule. That's not what most people need to keep in mind. Most people need to keep in mind that it's a long slog.
It takes a lot of refining and something that you...
Patience.
Yes, patience. And something that you specialise in is posing. So presence on stage is a huge part of whether you're going to win or not. So can you talk us through what exactly you do with your posing clients and how that changes their whole experience on the stage?
I really love posing for a number of reasons, but the thing that got me interested in posing to begin with was posture, because I think that posture, and this is not to do with competing, I think if you've got good posture and you can hold yourself well, it helps with interviews, it helps with how people treat you, it helps with your own confidence and your own self-esteem and all of these things. I find that quite fascinating. So for me, it was more about getting into posing to help people have a nice experience on stage, because like you, I got sick of hearing people say, oh, I did this prep and it was the worst bloody time of my life. Like, it was shit, I hated it. And I just think to myself, oh, that's so sad, because there's so many good things about it that, like, I just feel bad. Like, I feel bad that they felt like that, because for me, being on stage was just thrilling and exciting, and yes, the judges are looking for everything that's bad and wrong with your body, I get that, but at the same time, like, what a thrill. It's great. Everyone's so supportive backstage, which, well, that's my experience generally anyway, because we all know how much suffering and commitment and sacrifice, not commitment, more suffering and sacrifice that you've gone through to get there.
Yeah.
So everyone's quite, in tune with that and supportive. So I've totally lost my train of thought.
We're talking about posing, but
posing, that's it. Yeah, I was going to say something else, and I was like, no, that's totally off track. So yeah, I've forgotten. The posing side of things, I just want to make sure people present their body as best they can. Hopefully that translates into their normal day-to-day life, like just holding themselves better and being more confident and secure within themselves. And a nice posture is really attractive. Not that you're trying to be attractive to other people, but there's something really eye-catching and basically attractive to me when you see someone holding themselves really nicely and well.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
you think about as you age as well, I think there's nothing worse than, or nothing shows your age more than poor posture.
Yes,
I
agree.
And I think these things can be taught. And it helps you with your training as well. Like if you can be more aware of your body and pulling a certain area to make it flex, then that translates into a better lift or a better controlled lift, which minimises injury and prevents wear and tear unnecessarily. Like so many things. I could go on forever about posing, but I love it, and I think there's so many more benefits than just making you look sexy or muscly on stage.
I've seen you teach posing when at a gym that I was training at.
Yep.
I remember I was training, I was watching you teach someone how to pose, and I just found it fascinating because one tiny little movement of the body can completely change how they look.
How it appears,
Yeah. It was amazing.
In fact, and in touching on that as well, I can safely say, and I've taught a lot of pros how to pose, not one of them has a perfect body. Not one. They all look perfect, but I'm telling you, they hold themselves perfectly.
Yes.
They don't have a perfect body. I don't see people with a perfect body. Everyone's got asymmetry, everyone's got imbalances, everyone's got something that looks a little bit weird, but to be honest, what does it matter? Because that's what makes the sport so unique.
Yeah.
Because everyone's aiming for perfection and everyone gets really down in the dumps when they're not perfect, but I'm telling you, no one is perfect.
Yeah.
It's all smoke and mirrors, it's all an illusion.
Yeah, I agree. And the reason why I wanted to get you on today, like I said to you before the podcast, was that I love the sport of bodybuilding for the sport of bodybuilding, but I feel like a lot of people in the fitness industry and with social media hide behind bodybuilding as a shield to hide their body dysmorphia issues or their eating disorders or something like that. And I believe that you are so passionate about it and you have a really healthy view on it. However, I don't feel like a lot of people who do compete do have a healthy view on it or a healthy relationship with it, where it becomes an obsession and it becomes an unhealthy, it creates an unhealthy relationship with your body.
Yeah.
I guess where I'm going with this is what I want to know is what your opinion on that is. Do you see a lot of people competing for the right reasons, or do you see? What are the right reasons to compete? Firstly, let's start with that.
I think the only reason that makes it right is that it enhances your life, not takes away from your life.
Yep.
That's the only right reason in my head. So, and I know what you're saying with the eating disorders, and it's true. I do see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not qualified to help people out of the rut of a eating disorder, so to speak. But I try and look at it this way: like if something's going to improve your life in some way, then that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not a total improvement, might just be a tiny bit. So if you might find that going out and getting 10 minutes of sunshine a day is really beneficial to your headspace or something like that. Whereas other people, their lives are so chaotic and so
they need that discipline to feel in control.
Yeah, and is it the best thing for them? Well, yeah, you could argue and say maybe not, but maybe at that time that's what they need
Yeah.
to just cope with life. And I kind of have a lot of empathy for that side of things, but at the same time, you worry that, or should I be pushing this person to compete because I know they need it for now, but there's a deeper issue there, so maybe they shouldn't be competing at all. So I always toss up in my own head whether or not it's the right path. But if I just try and think to myself, if it's getting them through the day, then that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'm open to chatting about that further.
Yeah, I think that I personally love watching bodybuilding comps, and I think that there's a lot of people have these expectations of what a bodybuilder is. Oh, they must be on gear, or they must have mental health issues, or they must have that. And it frustrates me because the general public do not understand how much dedication and hard work and discipline go into preparing themselves for that show. But I guess it's that fine line of what is obsession and what is a healthy dedication to a sport. But you could say that about me. I'm obsessed with CrossFit.
Yeah.
I'm here more than I am anywhere else, and I train more than anybody else does.
Yeah.
So how come I'm not unhealthy and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a different view. You just treat it a little bit differently, or it's accepted.
Yeah, but why is it accepted, I guess? You know?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know that if you want to be good at anything, and I'm talking doctors, lawyers, CrossFit, bodybuilding, running your own business, whatever it is, it's not going to be balanced. Like, you're not going to have a balanced life. And that's
so true.
Yeah, it's like if you want to be really, really good at something, well, something else has to give. You have to make sacrifices. And whether or not that sacrifice is healthy is a different story, and it kind of is, again, individual and where you're at. So, for example, if you're a competitor and you've got kids, you can argue and say, well, you know, just for me, for an example, I don't have kids, but for me to do my last prep, I was training at least 3 hours a day, plus trying to run my business at the same time. And I really didn't have any room left to do anything else other than food prep and food shop. Like, that's it. So the things that I sacrificed were my time with my friends. I sacrificed going out for dinner with my partner. I sacrificed family, like all of those things. But that's what I had to do in order to get up on stage and be better than I was last time. For me, that worked really well. And luckily for me, I had the friends and the family where I was able to train them to be supportive rather than take it to heart and this. But that takes time as well. So they were on my side. So if ever I did have the chance to go around for Mum's house for dinner or something like that, then she would be cooking chicken and green veg, and the whole family would eat the same thing.
That's so nice.
Like, how often does that happen? Like, that's not normally the case.
That wouldn't happen in my family.
Yeah, no, that's it. So it depends on where you're at and where everyone else around you is at to whether or not it's unhealthy or not.
Yeah.
So for me, it was nice because my family were getting behind it, and the days that I was tired, like, my sister would come to the gym with me. Like, they would kind of come along for the ride rather than, you know, like, everyone is so different. So on the flip side of that, if my family were the complete opposite and it was coming at a detrimental cost, like they were saying, you know, you're not spending time with family because of this, this and this, and you didn't come to your grandmother's birthday party because there was birthday cake, like, we missed out. Like, that's not a good thing. That's not healthy either. Yeah. So the only person that can decide whether or not it's healthy is you personally. Yeah. And you have to be realistic and honest with yourself as well. And I get that sometimes, like mums, for example, sometimes they have to do something for themselves in order to be better parents. So I get that side as well. But what everyone else will see is neglecting the kids or putting the kids in the crash to do something. Well, yes, I'm sure that does happen, but I've also seen it be a good thing. Like, they get time out and they're actually better mothers because they're able to have an hour to themselves in the gym, and then they can be fully functional and fully committed and focused to that child once they've had a workout because they're de-stressed.
Yes.
Like, I've seen both, so it's so hard for me to say because I try and really be there for people and listen to what they're saying and why they're doing it and try and work out, well, is that right for you or not? Yeah. But yeah, the eating disorders is a big one, so that's probably the most difficult because you don't know if they're doing it and making their eating problems worse.
Right, yeah.
Because it's an excuse, oh no, I'm not going to eat that because I'm prepping. Whereas they were going to eat that, they weren't going to eat that anyway, even if they weren't prepping, but now it's acceptable because they said they're prepping, and that's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I see a lot of people on social media, young women, promoting their prep, promoting their lifestyle as a way to look good in a bikini.
Yeah.
And I suppose pushing their journey to the stage to their followers as this is how you look good in a bikini at the end of the day. What's your opinion? I don't know how to phrase it.
Well, I think it's all bullshit. I think it's all bullshit because every time I see all of these girls doing this, I feel like saying, yeah, okay, like this is great, but how about you tell them about the time that you rocked up late to your posing appointment, bawling your eyes out because you're stressed out and you're hungry and you just had a fight with your boyfriend. How about tell them that?
Yeah.
Like, it's not as easy. Like, so all I'm saying to everyone that's watching all of this type of thing, the process is more complicated and people only show you what they want to show you.
Yes.
Yes. That's all I'll
That's
say.
where I was going with that.
Yeah. So it's harder than what you think, and they all have meltdowns, and yes, every time you see like a motivational I've got this type of post, it's because the day before they were in tatters.
They didn't have it. Yeah,
and they were feeling like absolute shit. So they're, but that's part of the journey as well. Like that's what you learn about yourself.
Yeah.
So
and
like all power to them, but just don't take it as what you're seeing on social media is the way it is because it's bloody well not.
And I guess where I'm going with this, don't feel like you need to do a competition to look good in a bikini. Because a lot of these people are being paid, they have food prep delivered to their front door, they're getting paid to put protein shakes in their posts, they have clothes delivered to them,
gyms let them train for free, like they're not paying memberships.
Correct. They get their bikinis done because they post about people don't understand. Let's talk about the finance side.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm lucky because I'm sponsored by a meal prep company, and this is not competing anymore right now. But I was sponsored with the bikini. My bikini was made with Swarovski crystals.
Yeah, I can't even say it now.
Swarovski crystals, and they are different to the other ones because they shine better on stage. Well, they're more expensive, so of course they catch the light and they really glisten, but they're expensive. And then you think of the hours it takes to glue them on.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, I do. I've got my original bikini, which kind of looks really manky now. But the sponsored ones we give back, and then they're so you get to wear them once and then you give them back. But if you want to buy a bikini like that, like it's anywhere between $500 and $2,000.
Holy shit!
And that's just a standard bikini. That's just that's not talking about the WBFF like glamour ones with the bits hanging off. Like they're even more expensive, or they can be. So the cost of the bikinis on their own is very expensive. Then you've got the tanning, then you've got the makeup. Then you've got the hair, then you've got the shoes, then you've got the posing practice, then you probably pay someone to, coach you.
Yeah.
On top of that, like we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I put down a 16-week prep, and I worked out exactly how much it would cost for absolutely everything, and it wasn't shy of 15 grand. Wow. That's to go overseas to compete. That's with entry fees, membership fees, flights, accommodation, food, like everything. So it's obviously you can do it a lot cheaper than that. I get that, but not many girls these days are wearing even the same bikini twice.
No.
So there are cheaper ways to do it, but don't just think that you can get halfway through a prep and someone's going to want to sponsor you. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and a lot of these girls all over social media have sponsors that pay for majority of
Yeah,
those
but
costs.
guess what? They didn't get the sponsorship straight away. They actually did all this and paid for all this themselves. Then they started winning, and then the sponsors come along.
Yeah. Let's talk about people's expectations
Yep.
of a show. So, you prep for a show, you think you're going to win, like everybody does.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you go in it to win it.
But there's only one winner, or three, first, second, third, is that right?
Yeah.
How many people do you see just absolutely heartbroken after the show?
Yeah, majority.
They would. Everybody goes in believing they're going to win.
Yep.
There's not one person on that stage that doesn't think they're going to win.
Yeah, majority of people go in it to win it and then are gutted basically when they don't. And that's another thing that I think you need to be mentally tough with as well, and you need to prepare for, because there is only one winner and it's very subjective. And every single person that gets up on that stage has done like minimum 12, 16, 20-week prep. Every single person has invested a lot of time and money. Every single person has sacrificed time with friends and family and doing this and that in order to get up on stage. So, of course, they think that they expect to win because they've sacrificed, but guess what? So is everyone else.
Wow. I can imagine that would affect a lot of people post
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
What do you generally see happen with people after the show? Does everyone, because obviously they're at a lower body fat percentage than what they usually like.
Yep.
I see a lot of people talking about reverse dieting, but
Yep.
a lot of people just go bananas on donuts and then get really sick. Is that generally what happens after a show?
Yeah, again, I think everything comes back to like mentally where you're at before you start prep. So if you're prepping to get away from stress in your life, and then suddenly you don't have a comp to focus on, well, guess what? All those stresses are going to hit you like a ton of bricks, like post-show, and you'll probably rebound, and you'll probably, get anxiety and stressed and feel really down and depressed about yourself, like all of these sorts of things. But if you start in a good place, chances are that's not really going to happen. You can come out of it more sensibly. So if you're doing the competition to avoid problems, the problems are going to resurface as soon as you finish, because there's no comp anymore. So just be mindful of that. Everything you do, just be mindful of it.
Yeah.
And remember, like if you're trying to get down to a super low body fat, and you achieve that super low body fat via extreme dieting, extreme training, even extreme diuretics and drug taking or whatever.
Oh, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, you're going to have an extreme rebound.
Yeah.
Like you can't. You can't do one thing and expect a different result. Like if you do one thing extremely, you'll probably have an extreme post rebound, or
What goes up must come down.
Yeah, that's it. So and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're mentally prepared. So for me, I've done comps really well and really sensibly, and I've also done comps knowing full well that I'm going to have to do some extreme shit to try and get this weight off because I've left it too late. And there was one week where I did everything in my power and actually lost 4 kilos in a week. And you can't tell me it's all fat, because it's not. So 4 kilos in 1 week. I was doing like 3 hours of cardio, but I made my mind up. I said, I want to do this show no matter what. I need to lose this weight before Saturday. This is what I'm going to do. Bang, bang, bang. And I did it all. But I also knew that by doing that, I was probably going to put on double that in the same amount of time, which I did. So a week after finishing, bang, 7 kilos up.
Wow.
2 weeks later, 10 kilos up.
Wow.
And I felt like crap, and I just thought to myself, ugh, like I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, so it didn't affect me like that, but I was just like, you know what, this is so shit. I'm just not going to do that to myself next time. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it. I feel like crap. Like, what's the point? What's the point when you're looking so fit and fabulous and then inside you're not?
Yeah.
So for me, morally, I just made my mind up, like, next time I do it, I'm just going to take my time and make sure that I don't put, and I know this sounds bad, but I was putting clients first before my own training and training at stupid hours. And, like, if you need to make a commitment, make it a healthy commitment.
Yeah.
And you can't do everything at once. It's unrealistic to think that you can do everything. So my next show following that, I cancelled a lot of clients. I put them onto other trainers, which I know not everyone can do, like financially, but if you're in a good position financially, you can do these things, which helps a lot with your post-show rebound. And so after the next show, I put on 2 kilos.
Yeah.
It's just don't be surprised when dumb shit happens afterwards if you've done dumb shit to get there.
Yeah.
If you've done something dumb to get there, guess what? You're going to suffer.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Let's touch on steroids and
Yep.
then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Steroid use in bodybuilding. So everybody thinks that every bodybuilder is pumping
Yeah.
shitloads of gear.
Yep.
Not the case. And then on the flip side, a lot of people promote this healthy, natural lifestyle when they are pumping heaps of shit.
Yep.
So I guess the question is, there's a lot of federations.
Yep.
Some are all natural
Mhm.
and some are not.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yeah, so some will advertise, well, they're actually all meant to be natural, but some advertise the fact that they actually test, whereas some are just untested. So it's kind of like powerlifting as well. Some will actually have someone from ASADA or WADA or whatever there testing, whereas others just don't. So it's not to say that you have to be on something to do these untested shows. Like all of my clients have done shows that are untested and they've been natural.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It's just whether or not you want to, if you want to compete naturally in any federation and be up against people that are potentially not.
Do you think it's fair that there are people who, some people are using and some people aren't, and they're competing on the same stage?
If it's untested, I think it's fair. If it's a tested federation and people are trying to do the dodgy and compete and cheat the test, then I think that's so wrong. And I think, yeah, you're just a shit person.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? And like I think it's awesome that we've actually got the choice.
Yeah.
And there's things available to you if you want to, you can, that's your choice. And if you don't want to, well, you can as well. But how cool is it when someone that's natural goes ahead into these untested shows and beats someone that's on it? Like, that's pretty cool.
I think there's a lot of stigma out there and misunderstanding around steroid use that it's like a magic pill.
Yeah.
And that you take it or inject it or do whatever with it. Snort it. No, you don't snort it. And all of a sudden you'll turn into Arnie.
Yeah.
Where that's not actually the case.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, like you said, who are completely natural, who will go in there and kick ass. And it all comes down to the dedication, the hard work, and the time and effort that people put in.
And the genetics as well.
Like genetics is huge.
Genetics, yeah, they're just freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky bastards.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And lastly, do you have any advice for anybody who thinks that they would like to compete?
Pick a federation that suits your body type so that your body doesn't have to stress out in order to make that category work. So, like I said before, if you're genetically a muscular type character, you wouldn't go and do a Victoria's Secret model runway show because your genetics aren't suited for it. So in order for you to look good on that stage, you'll have to grow taller and not eat anything. And that's going to be a shit time for your prep. Likewise, if you're genetically looking like a Victoria's Secret model and you want to do female bodybuilding, guess what? You're going to have to take a lot of drugs to look like that. Whereas you and I could muscle up relatively quickly in comparison. So it's an easy prep for us. For a really thin, skinny girl genetically, she's going to have to do a lot of nasty things to her physique in order to achieve that. Everything's achievable, it's just at what cost. So pick something that is kind to your body and sensible. Pick a division that's kind and sensible to your body, that's it.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
This has been great.
Yeah, thank you.
Great little chat.
I really enjoyed it, so thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. And listeners, I will put the link to Amy's Instagram in the show notes. Make sure you have a look. And thank you very much for listening. Please make sure you subscribe and leave a 5-star review and do all the things you're meant to do that make you happy. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Boom. Fuck yeah. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where did you get this?